Namaste, everyone, and welcome back to my channel called zuzanareacts, where I learn all things Bharat with your help. And I just share my Slovak Central European point of view. And today's video, it's going to be a 4-part video because it's a really long Ranveer show podcast with Nora Fatehi. I'm not too sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apparently, she is a really big Bollywood actress. She is a foreigner. I really know nothing about her, never heard of her, but I understand she's big over there. And from what I've seen, just like a tiny bit, Ranveer is interviewing her from the perspective of a foreigner. So it's quite interesting for me to observe with a person who's like from, let's say, even though she's Canadian, actually she's I understand, from Toronto, what her views are and how she's experiencing India. And I think that can be very, very interesting for me to learn from kind of this part of the world and how someone that has embedded in the culture, how they understand it, etc. But before we come into this video,
please like this video and click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Thank you so much for your support.
Okay, so let's do part 1. Again, as per standard, I'm going to pause wherever I feel like, around like half an hour mark, because we have 2 hours of the podcast, so I don't want to kill you with that many hours. And I'll just try to watch to make it somehow logically spread out. So let's begin.
DRS, Nora Fatehi.
Thank you.
What's up?
All good. How are you?
I'm good.
Is this okay if I bring it close?
Yeah, be chill. If you want to eat here, if you want to meditate here on the show,
It's giving me meditation vibes here.
Yeah.
So
we meditate in this room as
I love it.
Yeah. I think if you meditate in a room, like, it changes the vibe of the space. And this is where all of our work comes out of. So the space is very, 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 very special. And you just made it more special.
Oh, thank
with
you.
your presence.
I love it.
What's happening in life?
So much is happening. So much. You have to be specific, because I could go and blabber on for the next 7 hours.
Go for it.
So much, yeah. I mean, like, I'm a workaholic, so I'm constantly working. Every day I'm running around. I feel like it's nonstop for me. I'm at a point in my career where I'm trying to balance between doing my work in India and my work internationally, which sometimes I feel like I have to split myself in half and be in 2 different places at the same time. But I'm having a lot of fun. I'm learning so much about myself. I'm maturing. It's just a lot. So much is happening.
What are you running towards?
Oh, I'm running towards my goals. I have so many goals, and they're all there, and I've made some happen already. I've reached, success at some point, but I have a lot of goals that I'm trying to fulfill.
You want to talk about them?
Yeah. I mean, so many, like, first of all, the fact that I've always wanted to do lead roles in films, right? So that's been like a 10-year struggle where I've been knocking on doors, trying to get in, and from doing songs, special features, to small roles, supporting roles, and climbing up those stairs. It's literally stairs. Some people, they get the opportunity to just go inside the lift, and then some people take the escalator, which is faster than the stairs. The stairs is tedious, because when you take the stairs, like, sometimes your legs hurt. And you have to, like, take a break, and you're like, oh, it's too much. It's a lot of stairs. And then you're going up, and the stairs get longer, and they get longer. And you're like, okay, well, this is a staircase not going to end. So that is basically an analogy for this journey of mine. Staircase.
And sometimes as you're climbing higher, the goal gets higher as well.
It does. Yeah, sometimes you're like, oh, this is nice. So I actually managed to reach this. 10 years ago, I would have never thought, let me make my goal a little bigger, a little more tougher, a little more almost unattainable. And then when you attain it, you're like, ah, it actually happened. So this is the zone that I'm in. That's probably describes my whole entire life.
I'm just really happy that the first time I'm meeting you is over the course of a podcast, because then it's recorded forever.
That's true.
What I like about anyone who's grown up outside of India is that I've noticed that even within the media world, you guys don't develop too much of an ego.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. And this is what I've seen with I'm sorry, I'm terming you as a foreigner.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm not from here. But the only thing is, so funny you said, I'm sorry, I'm terming you as a foreigner. There was a time where I used to hate that term in the beginning when I just came to India, because I felt that everyone who used the term foreigner would just typecast all non-Indians into one box. They're all Goras, and I'm like, wow, this is not it. I don't like this. And anytime they'd be like, oh, foreigner, and I'm like, I'm not a foreigner. I'm a brown girl too,
You could pass off as Indian.
I mean, I'm not. See, that's the thing. Foreigner means someone who's not Indian, right? But in our minds, the way it used to be used in the environment I was in, it was just like all European girls or all white girls. No offense to white people. I'm not like, it's fine.
Aren't you a white person?
I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not. You know what I mean? And then I have to have arguments with people trying to explain to them that I'm like, guys, like I'm a brown girl. I'm a North African, Moroccan girl. And we relate to South Asians, just like, you Middle Eastern, South Asian, North Africans, they really blend together. They have a lot of similarities.
This is something Indians don't understand about the Middle East and North Africa until they travel there.
Until they travel, right? Then they realize, boss, both similar, and it's almost scary similar. And so I always wanted to educate people and be like, no, this is where I'm from. This is my background. We are very similar. All foreigners are not the same. And then when they hear me speak Arabic, they'd be like, Arey wah, those words are the same words in Hindi, or in Urdu. And I'm like, yes, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Kursi, kitab, a lot of things. There are a lot of things that are similar, but I like to focus on the similarities rather than the differences, which is also the reason why I was able to make it here, is because of the similarities and being relatable to the audience. They clearly saw something where they're like, boss, we can relate to her, right? But yeah, you were saying about foreigners.
So what I've planned for this particular conversation is actually more of a, again, don't mind me saying this, but it's like a foreigner's perspective in India. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. It's not a typecast you, but as a media professional, you hear things about other media professionals, now, whether they're actors, singers, whatever. If you spend time in this industry, I'm sure you would have heard something about me. I've heard something about you.
For sure.
Whenever people talk about you, it's always with a lot of respect within the media fraternity.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of respect put against your name because of your hard work. And I've heard people say things like, oh, she's a rocket. So that was my only impression of you, honestly, from a professional perspective. I'm not talking about the front end. I'm not talking about what people see. But you know how if a footballer is seeing another footballer play the sport, you can see it from a different lens.
Right.
And that's what's always come through about you. And I mean, you're a perfect example of someone who's come up the hard way.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that's the core nucleus when it comes to going even further.
For sure. Yeah. I appreciate it.
I'm going to stop it right here because there are a couple of interesting things that she has mentioned so far. It's interesting when she talks about workaholism. In the Western society, I don't know how it is in India. I think that you guys also work extreme hours. It's a badge of honor. I don't think it's a badge of honor. I think it's a very, very bad. Like some people could label me as a workaholic, which I don't consider myself to be. I'm just like ensuring that I do my job and I do it well. But it's definitely not that badge of honor. Some people like to massage their inner being with that, if you like. And it's a very unhealthy mental state to be in because, like in the West, it's very cliche. Everyone that says we are not human doings, we are human beings. And I think, if we just, as a society, would like to slow down a bit. But the thing is, I had thought of it. It's just we're us doing this to us, right? Like if you don't work hard, you don't have a business, you don't have a roof over your head, etc. And the next person next to you is willing to do that just 10 times harder. So I just wonder how long society like this can function, but that's just out there. Point number 2, she didn't respond to that, or maybe they will talk about it a bit more. He says that people don't develop from foreign much of an ego, and I would love to understand what that actually means. If you could help me understand what he might mean, that would be super helpful, because that implies that Indians have a lot of ego, and I would love to understand the angle where this is coming from. And let's get into it.
Jade, that I'm glad. Look, that's a very positive thing to hear, because not a lot of people have, a good image, especially like stars. Our industry is really difficult, and in your face. This is relevant to stardom. Like, people will see stars, media people will see stars, industry people will see stars, and they'll be like so nice to them in their face. And, oh, sir, ma'am, and you know, all that. But behind their back, they will say other things about them related to their personality, the way they behave, etc., etc. So it's very rare that you hear people say good things about you behind your back, even if you're a star, you know. And so when you're saying that this is the kind of things you hear about me, it's really nice.
You saw some crazy shit while growing up?
In my area, yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen shootings, we've seen drive-bys. Drive-bys is when someone's in a car, sticks their gun out and starts shooting out and then drives away. That's a drive-by. That's the term we use. We've seen school shootings where someone will come with a gun and, you know, there's a lockdown in the school. Everyone's hiding under their tables and the cops are coming.
Over what?
I don't know. I mean, gang wars.
Wow.
People are crazy. People are really crazy. Egos. We anyways have a massive gun problem in Toronto to begin with. So a lot of kids have guns for no reason. They have access to guns.
Did you have a gun?
No. I was very studious. I didn't need a gun. I have my mouth, my tongue. My mouth is a weapon. So, I mean, I attack with my words, unfortunately. And sometimes this, but not anymore. I'm a good girl now.
Seem very peaceful.
No need to lie. Not really. A little bit. Depends. I mean, I think I've matured in the sense where I'm trying to figure out what to let go and what not to let go. But yeah, you know, my industry is not an easy industry to work in. It's a tough one. I love it. Don't get me wrong. Very grateful. But you have to be constantly on almost, it's not like a fighter mode, but you have to be constantly alert, constantly awake, constantly figuring out like who to trust, who not to trust, who's around you. You have to be very protective over your energy, your aura, your around everything. You have to be very protective. And there's
you know what Nazar is?
We believe in Nazar. I mean, I think people who are in the public eye.
What's a Nazar? Please do let me know.
Do succumb to Nazar a lot because a lot of eyes are on them, a lot of jealousy, envy.
What happens nowadays is if there is ever an event that I have to go for, and I try going for as few events as is possible because of this reason. Mm-hmm. But whenever I get back from that event, I always have some ache or pain.
Yeah, that's definitely Nazar. I mean, especially if you're someone, because everyone's aura is different, right? Some people's auras are more weaker than others, and some people's auras are more, you gravitate towards them more. And that's the difference between a star and a non-star, to be frank. It's an energy. So stars have an aura that make people want to look at them, make people admire them, make them aspirational. You know, sometimes you like some star and you don't even know why you like them. It's just like, there's something about them. That's their aura, you know? And that aura particularly, it grabs people's eyes, and not all people's Nazar eyes is good. Not all people's eyes, when they look at you, they don't always look at you in good intentions. Some people look at you through envy and hate and jealousy and wishing bad on you. And that is an energy I genuinely really believe in. If it catches on you, it can make you sick. It can make you mentally disturbed. It can make you lose your sleep. It can make you, your body hurt. It can kill your aura down where you don't look your best anymore. That's where sometimes you feel like you're depressed. You feel like you have anxiety. You feel all these things come into play. It's an interesting topic. But it's definitely very intricate. If you go really deep into it, you'll realize that that's why a lot of stars struggle through depression and anxiety. That's why a lot end up being suicidal, for example, because when you have millions and billions of eyes on you and half of them don't even wish you well, and then you have your co-actors or your competitors plotting against your fall and wanting to destroy you because of their envy and their ego and their fear of you maybe doing really well, and they don't want you to do well. People can do anything to destroy you and remove you from the way, So
what's the Arab way of getting rid of Nazar?
There's so many ways. I mean, it depends also what religion you're in. Like, for example, Muslims will read Quran, they will read Ayatul Kursi, they will pray, a lot of salt water baths. There's also, depending on what culture you're in, there are ancestral rituals that are used to cleanse your aura and your spirit. There are many things that one does. But obviously, it's a very deep conversation. Yeah, it's a deep one.
You have a whole occult side.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
I'm going to post it right here because I just feel like I have to stop. So she's talking about like an evil eye. I guess I figured it by now. I don't know. Different experiences from different culture, like even across Mexico and stuff. And I had a colleague who was telling me a story like how she had like some sort of stuff removed. I know that these things happen in India, and it actually surprises me a lot because I would imagine India being a spiritual country, and that everyone, let's say, that is even watching that, understands that karma is a beep, beep, beep. And that when you wish something bad on someone, it will come back to you tenfold. And actually, just very recently, I have been told by a good friend of mine that his ex-girlfriend has done something to him, and he was actually told that by someone. And luckily, he's very spiritual. He was able to break this, and it came back to her. And now that she's taking all of it 10 times fold, major issues, major stuff like that. So I just don't understand how we as a people, if you understand the concept of oneness, if you understand that you're connected, you can do such a thing, because your soul is going to need to reincarnate gazillions of times until you learn lessons like that. I would love to know actually from you guys, like, what this is all about. I'm hearing it's not very positive, to be honest, from what I'm understanding that people also do in India. But I just don't understand where the kindness is, when why we have to, as people, envy each other or whatever. Like, clearly, for example, this lady has worked her effing ass off to get where she is. She came from a totally different world to another different world, made it the industry as it is. It's so, I would say, horrific. Like, when I just like watched some random videos on YouTube about like the dark side of Hollywood, and when you understand that, there was recently a video about like how they were they were trying to indoctrinate or do crazy things, like a YouTuber was saying, when they were up and coming, and he saw things that he would rather unsee, and this is how they get evidence, because they film you doing heinous stuff. And I guess my appeal is to humanity, like, why is this happening? I know we're not all can be like saints or what have you, but wishing bad on someone is literally wishing it onto yourself. And I don't understand how people don't understand that. Like, it just goes beyond me. And you know what? If you have any thoughts on this one, I would love to know, because suffering creates more suffering. That means that you need a psychological help, or psychiatric help, and you need to work on yourself, because this is just very sad. I don't wish personally any bad on anyone, and when I hear stuff like that, it really saddens me. And it especially saddens me because there's also, obviously, I get very interesting comments on my YouTube channel, and sometimes my brain just stops, and where I'm not connecting that I consider India as a mecca of spirituality, and then I'm seeing completely the opposite what I would be expecting, and I don't quite understand how that is, why that is. So feel free to comment on this.
I mean, someone like me has to be very, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, alert, aware, and educated about certain things, because when you are in the public eye, you succumb to all these things. It is what it is. I mean, a lot of people might not want to discuss this, and some people go, "Oh, I don't believe in that. This is all nonsense." But that's just a front. All people believe in this energies, and Nazar, and whatever comes under the umbrella of this conversation. And we live in a country that
I really don't believe that this is all people believe. It's you would be, I don't know, especially her coming from the West, making that kind of statement, I think, is a bit of an oracle here.
People are very spiritual and people do believe in this stuff, and our industry is run through this stuff, to be honest with you.
What do you mean run through this?
In terms of being aware and educated about this and protecting yourself, because otherwise you will never last in an industry where here, Hollywood, the pop culture, anywhere where people's eyes are constantly on you, people are around you constantly, there's competition, competitors. This one wants to, be more bigger than you. This one wants to make more money than you. This one wants to rule. This one is scared because the other one is coming up, and they're like, oh, whoa, this one's coming up. What do we got to do to bring them back down? All these things happen. So when you're in the midst of this and you're aware of it, you start to realize the importance of protecting your aura and your spirit.
I've always wondered if someone can put Nazar on you digitally, like through watching you.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
So
digitally because
we've got some Nazar absorbing things in the
I
background.
I noticed. Of
for
course,
that exact reason.
100% because the person digitally can see your face. They can see your picture, they can see your video, they can see your eyes. And the eyes is the gate of your soul, right? And how do people catch on to your aura? Through your soul and your spirit. So of course it's possible.
You're a very interesting person.
Yeah, I know. I heard that.
Like you have a lot to say. You've not been on too many podcasts.
No, because, like it's scary. It's cancel culture era. So,
But you're being much more open here in this room than most Hindi film industry professionals or film industry professionals.
Well, because you're asking me certain questions, and I'm very spontaneous, and people who know me know that I'm an open book. I also have a lot here. If you ask the right questions, you'll get those certain answers. Some people don't care about certain things. They just ask me, what's your next project? Then so that's the answer I'm going to give
who
you.
You're dating.
Oh yeah, no, who you're dating? Like, so, and it's ridiculous. And my answer is always nobody. So where do we go from there? But you got to ask the right questions, and it also depends on the theme. I guess for you, your podcast is about knowing deeper than just the projects, right? And actually, my question is to you, because you said something really interesting. So you come back from an event and your bones are hurting. What do you do? What do you do to help yourself get out of it? And also, what do you do to protect yourself moving forward when you know it's going to happen?
Firstly, I'll say that learning that you've picked up Nazar is a skill. You need to know that Nazar is on you. You usually feel very heavy, very drained, or something starts hurting. Again, I'm talking from the perspective of fame. I don't know if... I assume that when someone gets married and there's a big wedding, that's where people would pick up Nazar.
For sure. Yeah. Especially like, a wedding and an event. If you're not famous, you're not in this industry. Like, we're just specifically speaking about our industry. But when you're not famous, you could go to a family function and you be looking amazing, and your cousin just like, so jealous of how you look and how beautiful your hair is and how glowing your skin is. And boom, So
that's Nazar. Like, they don't know that they're putting the Nazar on you.
Most of them know.
Oh, really?
Most of them know. Yeah.
Wow.
Most of them know. Yeah.
Wow.
It's got some evil people in this world. Most of them know.
The saltwater baths, that's my standout. I've seen that doesn't completely help me. What washes it off is if I go into the ocean. Like if you actually go to the beach and go into that washes it off to a very deep degree. But at home, saltwater baths, I do some mantras, meditate. But it's just time that heals it, honestly.
Some of us don't have time. Some of us need to go back in front of the crowd. Some of us have to go back in front of the camera. Some of us have to keep going, right? We don't have time to... it's like a battery, when the battery has no charge left anymore, and then you got to charge it back up. Some of us don't have time to recharge again. So what does one do? It's a very good question.
Who had like the biggest gravity field around them? Or everyone you've ever met in this industry?
I can't take names because I'd freak them out and they'd probably call me 20 times panicking. So I can't take names, but I can tell you that a lot of them have probably more than Nazar, and they don't even know. And they wonder like why their stomach is always hurting, why they have digestive issues, why their films are not doing well, why they are no longer, that shining bright star that they once were. They're doing everything they need. They're working so hard. They're doing the right projects. They're working with the right people, but it's not landing. Something is wrong. Like, oh my God, just 2-3 years ago, I was so happening. Everybody loved me. Everything was working for me. And now people look at me and they're like, wow, your aura is a bit dull. You okay? You look tired. Oh yeah, your projects are not doing well. It's just a phase. And then they notice they have a lot of problems with people around them. Maybe a loved one, maybe a girlfriend, a wife, or a boyfriend, or a husband, friends. Everything just seems to be crumbling down. And they don't know what it is until it's too late. And sometimes people get lucky and they have friends and family that advise them and open their mind and their eyes to certain situations. And sometimes people don't, and then they just suffer forever. And I feel really sorry for them because our industry it's full of that. A lot of people that I've been around, I've noticed, I can feel that they have that energy, which is unfortunate. I don't say anything because it's not my business. But
it's stained with Nazar. That's what you're saying. Okay. Maybe what I meant by my question was who has like the
who would be more like sensitive to it most?
I meant who has the strongest aura.
Strongest
for me,
aura.
I'll answer it from my perspective. Maybe I'll explain my question better. At Baba Siddiqui's iftar party, I saw Shah Rukh Khan briefly, maybe for like 10 seconds. He walked past me. I've never sensed that kind
aura
of
ever.
Powerful aura around.
Yes,
I felt like his aura, and maybe all this is in my mind.
No,
maybe
it's not. It's true. Yeah, it's true.
It was at least 20 feet tall and 20 feet wide.
Yes, yeah, I know. I understand what you mean. Yeah,
like that heavy, and you see the body language and motions of human beings around him change when he's walking through a corridor. And he's very aware of it, and he enjoys it, and he walks
rightly
through.
So, right? Of course, obviously.
This is what he worked towards.
Yeah, that's what he worked towards. And it's also God-given.
Yeah.
He didn't buy it from the supermarket, you know? It's God-given. And when he became aware of it, and he understood the responsibility he has of it and what it brought to him, he understood how to carry himself with it. And it's beautiful. It's special. It's very, very rare also. I mean, we have so many stars in the industry, but a few of them carry an almost larger than life aura.
Do you think Shah Rukh Khan is probably in the top 5 most famous people in the world?
100%.
Right?
I don't think. I know. It's a fact.
Like while you were growing up in Canada, you knew Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, Canada. Forget about Canada. Canada, we can say it makes sense because it's a cosmopolitan place. We have a lot of Indians, a lot of South Asians. But all of Africa, all of the countries in Africa would know who Shah Rukh Khan is, be it Morocco, because we grew up watching his films, right? Be it a family in Somalia, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Senegal, in Egypt, in any of these places. These are all countries in Africa, in case nobody knew this. But yeah.
Oh, what are these?
I just want to say I have no idea who he is. I don't know about the 5th place in the world, but obviously we all have our, what we watch, what we want to watch. And to be honest, I don't really kind of watch the news or am a huge, like a movie person. So there might be also these types of reasons, but yeah.
Geography class. All of them would know Shah Rukh Khan for sure, hands down. He is the ambassador of Bollywood. He's the ambassador of India.
When you were 7 years old, you didn't know you'd be in India, right?
No, of course not. I didn't even know I'd be in India when I was 18. Yeah.
What about Shah Rukh Khan and Hindi films attracted you in the first place when you were a kid? Specifically Shah Rukh Khan. Because for us, it's his charm.
It's his charm. And also the kind of films he did. They were family friendly. You could sit at home with your entire family and watch them, which is very important because that becomes a cultural thing, like for example, here in India, what are the 2 things people do? They either go and watch cricket or they go to the cinema, right? So it's like a cultural thing, right? We had watching films at home with family, and we couldn't do Hollywood films, right? Because a lot of them were not appropriate to watch with the family. At least if you come from a brown family, like you know how it is.
Cover your eyes
yeah, we're not open-minded like that at all.
Oh, that's the same in Slovakia. I remember growing up. Oh, it was so cringe. Oh gosh, very similar.
So Bollywood films were safer, they were family friendly, and also they felt good. It felt nice to watch a Bollywood film because of the stories, the drama, the sentiments, the values. And Arabs, North Africans, brown Indians, South Asians, we all share the same sentiments in the end of the day, right? And that's why films are made the way that they're made. And Shah Rukh did films that my grandma liked, my mom liked, I liked growing up. And we had that moment where we can all sit, some are sitting in the sofa, some are on the floor, and we're all watching the small little TV, and it's Shah Rukh Khan. So he grew up with him. You fall in love with the romantic side of him, the chivalry, the gentleman side, and women love that. On top of that, the whole idea of song and dance in a Bollywood film provided a way of entertainment that was almost like escaping real life, and it's just a charm about Bollywood that other films or other industries like Hollywood did not have. And you gravitate towards something that you relate to. So we could relate to Bollywood films at that time because it embodied the same things that we had in our cultures too.
I mean, my core memory of Shah Rukh Khan from when I was a kid was not knowing the name of this person, but being very attracted to the way he acts.
Like he had an innocence in his face also.
I don't know what. Friendliness. I don't know what it was.
It's going back to energies. We were talking about energies. He has a clean energy.
Clean energy.
Yes, that's what it is. You can see it in his eyes. Sometimes you're like, Shah Rukh Khan is so talented. This has nothing to do with him, but sometimes you'll see like an actor or a star and you're like, I really like them. They're not that talented. It's not like they have this crazy skill, but there's something about them, the way when they smile or their eyes, there's a sparkle in their eyes. That's because their energy is clean and their intent, we say in Arabic niyat, their niyat is like very clean, right? And
niyat saaf hai.
Saaf hai. So iske liye you feel like gravitated towards them. Some stars have that appeal, and some of them, when you see them, you're like, they're so talented, they have everything, but there's something about them that makes me feel weird inside, that's because their energy is not that good. And their intention is not that good. But Shah Rukh Khan has that clean soul. And look at me talking about him like I know him like that. I don't know him like that. I've seen him just a couple of times, But I have a lot of respect for him because the couple of times I saw him, he was very respectful. He was very, very warm, very nice, despite knowing that he could be the 4th, 3rd, or 5th most famous person in the world, right? Or most impactful, influential person in the world. When I've met other stars who have not been like that, who've been very disrespectful, very mean.
Without taking names, what was the form of disrespect?
Just like kind of like borderline bullies.
Like said something that's
their body language won't be very welcoming, their facial expressions, their taunting, their jokes, their, you know, they'll say things behind your back also, and you get to know what they said, and you're like, wow, I can't believe they said that about me. And they have that entitlement of being bullies, and nobody will call them out on that.
Men or women?
Men. Yeah. Women is a different story. Women will try to kill you. Like they'll try to kill you. So that's a different story. But men who are superstars, because we're talking about a superstar like Shah Rukh Khan, right? So if I'm going to compare him to anyone, I'll compare him to other superstars, right? So yeah, he's been amazing.
So far, it's been a very interesting conversation. One thing that I didn't mention during when I was posing the video was like the whole thing about the similar culture and how you are viewed as foreigner. And it actually resonated with me because, you know, when I engage with you guys on your end, it's very much like you, the West, but I'm not the West. I don't represent the West. I mean, in a maybe Indian way of thinking, yes, but then there are some major differences between, let's say, Slovakia and even the surrounding countries. So it's always, I think, very annoying, just like it is for you as Indians to be criticized by the West. It's similar, I guess, for us to you know, like think like, what are they even talking about? Like how, you know, based on what knowledge. So that can get a bit irritating. I'm sure same for you. But what she was saying, is interesting to know that the Arabic culture is similar to Indian, and I think, you know, I've named kind of similarities, but then I feel like sometimes you guys are offended that I'm making similarities between a country which is 5 million, which is perhaps one small state of India, and 1.5. So I don't really understand why that would be even offensive in the first place. You know, when you're learning about different countries, it is only natural that you are trying to understand it from your level of understanding, and then it evolves from there. I you know, I've mentioned it in a number of my videos. I and someone in the comments that lived here as well in Slovakia, I was kind enough to mention that there are a number of similarities between Slovaks and Indians. You know, like especially the family culture is a huge thing. The fact that we were also enslaved, basically, like similarly to you, we were thousands of years under Hungarians. We had prosecution, not to the level again to that, but I think that with these subjects we need to stop being a bit touchy-feely, and maybe you will take that as offense, but what I mean it in the most positive way, because I'm coming from the fact of just trying to see how cultures are similar rather than how they differ. And if that's negative, then I have no words to say at this point for those who think that. But yeah, the whole ego thing at the very start that they did not address is quite interesting for me to know. So I would really, really love you to explain that to me in the comments. And with that being said, thank you so much for sticking with me through the part 1 of this video, and I'll see you in part 2. Until then, please do take care. I'm sending lots of love. Bye-bye.